Is the front office settling for good enough when championship windows don't wait for anyone? That's the burning question hanging over the Toronto Blue Jays as the organization appears ready to pump the brakes on what started as a promising offseason. After swinging and missing on generational talents Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker, the Blue Jays brass is now sending a clear message to the fan base. What you see is what you get. Let's set the stage here. Toronto entered this winter with urgency written all over their game plan. They knew the American League East was a bloodbath, they understood the championship window was wide open, and they recognized that standing pat wasn't an option. The front office responded by landing Dylan Cease, a legitimate ace who instantly transforms their rotation into one of the most formidable in baseball. They added depth pieces like Cody Ponce and reliever Tyler Rogers to shore up the pitching staff. And in their most intriguing move, they took a calculated gamble on Japanese power hitter Kazuma Okamoto, hoping he could replicate his NPB dominance in the majors. But here's where the narrative takes a frustrating turn for Blue Jays faithful. Despite being heavily linked to impact bats that could have elevated this lineup from competitive to elite, Toronto came up empty. The pursuit of Bichette and Tucker, two players who would have been franchise-altering acquisitions, ended in disappointment. Now, according to insider Mitch Bannon of The Athletic, the organization is essentially signaling that the shopping spree is over. Another major move appears unlikely for the Jays, Bannon reported, adding that Toronto's pitching staff appears set, and they project to have at least a 2-win player at every offensive position except left field. This is where things get complicated. On paper, the Blue Jays have constructed a roster capable of competing for a playoff spot. Their rotation features Cease alongside established arms, their bullpen has been reinforced, and position players across the diamond project as solid contributors. But in a division featuring the Yankees, Orioles, and Red Sox, all of whom made aggressive moves, is solid really good enough? The organization seems to think so, banking on internal development and hoping for a bounce-back season from Anthony Santander in left field rather than making another splash. The reality is that Toronto had multiple opportunities to be bold, to make the kind of statement move that changes the trajectory of a franchise, and they chose caution instead. When you look at how other contenders attacked this offseason with ruthless efficiency, the Blue Jays' conservative approach feels like a team hoping to compete rather than expecting to dominate. That's a dangerous mindset in a league where the margin between October glory and early vacation is measured in inches, not miles. The elephant in the room is opportunity cost, and it's massive. When you miss out on players of Bichette and Tucker's caliber, you don't just lose the production they would have provided. You lose the psychological edge, the statement to your clubhouse and division rivals that you're all in on winning now. Instead, Toronto finds itself in roster limbo, caught between being too good to tank, but potentially not elite enough to survive October's gauntlet. Bannon's analysis cuts to the heart of Toronto's dilemma. The Blue Jays have been connected to Cleveland's Stephen Kwan and several St. Louis Cardinals players, including Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, and Lars Nootbaar. These are quality major leaguers who could fill specific holes, particularly in left field where Santander and Nathan Lukes represent question marks. But here's the brutal truth. None of these players moves the championship needle significantly. Is it worth paying a significant prospect price for a 1-win upgrade? Bannon asks. That's the kind of move that makes more sense at the trade deadline after the Jays see what they have in Santander. This wait-and-see approach carries enormous risk. Baseball history is littered with teams that convinced themselves they were one piece away at the deadline, only to discover that piece was either unavailable or prohibitively expensive by July. The Blue Jays are essentially betting that their current roster construction, combined with internal improvements and health, will be sufficient to compete with division rivals who didn't hesitate to make bold moves. It's a conservative strategy for an organization that entered the winter promising aggression. Think about the Yankees, who've been relentless in their pursuit of upgrades, or even how other Toronto sports franchises approach their championship windows. The Maple Leafs, despite their playoff struggles, consistently swing for impact players when opportunities arise. The Blue Jays had their chance to do the same and chose to trust what they already have. General Manager Ross Atkins essentially confirmed the shutdown when introducing Okamoto, stating, "We feel good about our team." One thing that I would add is that additions at this point would start to cut away from playing time for players who we feel are very good major league pieces. Translation: we're not blocking our current players for marginal upgrades. It's a defensible philosophy in theory, but championship teams rarely win by protecting roster spots for very good players when elite options exist. The phrase "very good" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that statement. And it should concern fans who've watched this franchise fall short year after year despite having talented rosters on paper. The betting markets tell an interesting story. Toronto currently sits with the fourth best odds to win the World Series at plus 1,400, suggesting oddsmakers believe this roster has legitimate championship potential. But odds don't account for the razor-thin margins that separate October glory from early elimination. The Blue Jays could also explore moving surplus pieces like Jose Barrios to create flexibility, but Bannon notes that with spring training rapidly approaching, the roster appears increasingly set with each passing day. Every day that passes without a significant addition is another day closer to opening day with a roster that might be one bat short of true contention. That's the reality Toronto faces right now. And it's a sobering one for a fan base that's been waiting decades for sustained championship-level baseball. So, where does this leave the Blue Jays and their fan base heading into 2026? In a state of cautious optimism mixed with legitimate concern. The pitching staff is undeniably strong, featuring Cease as the ace and sufficient depth to weather the marathon of a 162-game season. Position players project as competent across the board, with the potential for Okamoto to provide unexpected pop if he adjusts to major league pitching. But in a division where the Yankees added firepower, the Orioles remain dangerous, and the Red Sox retooled aggressively, Toronto's decision to stand pat feels like bringing a knife to a gunfight. The front office is banking on several factors breaking their way. Santander rediscovering his form, Okamoto translating his success across the Pacific, internal development from younger players, and health across the roster. That's a lot of variables that need to align perfectly. Championship teams typically don't rely on hope. They create certainty through aggressive roster construction. Toronto had opportunities to create that certainty by landing Bichette or Tucker, and they came up short. Now they're asking fans to trust the process and believe that what they have is enough. The question becomes, how many times can an organization ask its fan base to trust the process before that trust erodes completely? History will judge this offseason based on October results. If the Blue Jays ride their elite pitching to a deep playoff run and Okamoto becomes a revelation, Ross Atkins will look like a genius who maximized resources without overpaying. But if Toronto falls short again, watching from home while division rivals battle for the pennant, this winter will be remembered as a missed opportunity to capitalize on a championship window that won't stay open forever. The harsh reality of professional sports is that windows close faster than they open, and teams that hesitate often find themselves on the outside, looking in while more aggressive franchises celebrate championships. The message from the front office is clear. Trust what we've built, believe in the players we have, and understand that sometimes the best move is no move at all. Whether that philosophy delivers a World Series parade down Yonge Street or another season of what-ifs remains the defining question of Toronto's 2026 campaign. This isn't just about one off-season or one missed opportunity. It's about establishing a culture of championship pursuit versus championship hope. Right now, Toronto appears to be hoping rather than hunting, and that's a concerning position for any team with legitimate World Series aspirations. The next few months will reveal whether this calculated restraint was wisdom or a costly miscalculation that haunts the organization for years to come. Now it's your turn, Blue Jays Nation. Do you trust the front office's decision to run it back with this roster, or should they have been more aggressive in landing that missing piece? Are you buying into the Okamoto hype, or do you think Toronto missed a golden opportunity to land a proven star? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and smash that like button if you're ready to see what this squad can do when the games actually count. Let's debate this together, because this conversation is far from over.